This is a presentation of Northeast Streaming Sports.
I mean, you can see right now, without LeBron, Lakers are struggling.
Let me tell you about a team I hate, all right? I know the Dallas Cowboy fan is here, so I had to make sure he knew how much I hate this team.
I'm ready.
I've often said that the people who run baseball, they try very hard to ruin it.
I'm from Brooklyn. I don't have a problem saying it to his face. Oh, I'm from Brooklyn. Hey, you guys any...
Yes, it's hump day, and welcome to the Northeast Professional Sports. Jack, we save all the good music for the nighttime, just to let you know. So we're going to have a lot of fun tonight. Tonight I have on with us, I'm Mac, your host, with, of course, Sonia Pearson from NESSP at night, and a bunch of different names she goes under. I think she's running from the authorities, is why she has so many different names. And we also have Jack Hirsch, my co-host on the Mac and Jack Sports Show, also on Glove Fist every Monday night with Frank Lotirzo. Good evening out there to everyone. Good evening to you here today, folks.
Good evening.
Good evening.
All right, so we should be having Keith Angle coming in. Hopefully the Philly sports guy will make his way in. And, of course, well, there he is right now. As I speak of him, he pops in. He must be listening to the show. How you doing, Pags?
I'm doing well. How about you guys?
Hi, Pags.
You're doing great, Pags. I'm glad you stopped in because, I'm going to go to Sonia, then I'm going to go to you, and we'll get to Jack eventually because once we give it to Jack, the show's over. So, anyway, glad that you could make it in, Pags. Keith Angle will also be in here, and I think CJ DeSimone, I think is how you pronounce his name, will also be in. He goes by the Painkiller for some reason or another. So, Sonia, let me start with you. Your owners, the NFLPA, said that your stadium is one of the worst in the league as far as facilities go, especially the turf. They're using artificial turf when, of course, the NFLPA wants everyone to go to grass. And, of course, Stepler isn't happy about that grading. He kind of lashed back out at him. So there's your owner again getting upset about something that he could definitely change.
Yeah, so the stadium has not been upgraded since it was built. And in fact, I'm a PSL owner, which is permanent seat license, where you have your own seat there in the stadium for those in the audience that are not aware of what that is. And we were told a couple of seasons ago that some of the seating arrangements would be changed because they were going to go in and actually upgrade the stadium from the inside out. There's been a lot of debate and drama, to be frank with you, about the stadium as a whole, the turf as a whole, all the way back to when the Panthers went to the Super Bowl. Russell Wilson, who was then with the Seattle Seahawks, came down and in the playoffs, they were complaining about their cleats being damaged from the turf. We won that game and, of course, went on to the Super Bowl, but they were complaining about it because we had home field advantage. So that the turf issues go way back. As far as the revamping of the stadium, Tepper was supposed to have been looking into building a new stadium on the North Carolina-South Carolina border. He has started with a practice facility that has now since been demolished. $1 million gone down the drain because some people in Mount Holly and in the South Carolina area did not back him. And so rather than continue on with other vendors, he just tore it down completely. Now we don't know what to expect as Panthers fans because the stadium as a whole, not just the turf, is old. It's been there since the franchise began in the mid-90s. So at least 30 years we have had that stadium. It's not conducive for outdoor events. I mean, it's one thing to have a stadium that is open, but it doesn't have the retractable roof like some stadiums do. And in fact, that was supposed to be the direction Tepper said he was going. Instead of getting a new stadium, he was going to actually spend the money to invest in putting a retractable stadium. I don't know at this point what the best option is. Additionally, it is known as the Bank of America Center for now, but that is supposed to be expiring soon. So maybe with that expiration and the renaming of that facility at 501 South Mint Street, we can possibly get some things upgraded. But as it stands, we're just in an insufferable position right now.
So as we know, all the owners love to use tags on players when they don't want to sign them to a 3-4 year extension. They put tags on a lot of players as a tool to keep them with their teams, or maybe even trade them after they tag them. Right now, the Bengals have tagged T.J. Higgins, and the Chiefs have tagged their other cornerback, Sneed. So, this TJ, of course, T. Higgins is one of the better receiver combos when him and Lamar Chase are together, and he's healthy. And of course, Snead had a great year too. Him teamed up with McDuffie gave the Chiefs one of the best defensive backfields in the league. So, what do you think? What do you think these players are going to do? I mean, Higgins has been hurt a lot during his career. Snead is just kind of coming into his own. Do you think they look to go somewhere else when they get a bigger contract, or do they stay with their teams? Both teams are pretty won a lot of games last year. Both are legitimate Super Bowl contenders.
Yeah, so L'Jarius Sneed actually right after the Super Bowl went out and was basically on social media saying he wanted to be paid because the Chiefs had won the Super Bowl. And I'm sure there are other people on that same team that are also requesting money. So with that being the situation, it has to be a case where, you have to pay the highest ranking people who are waiting to be paid first. So the Chiefs came out yesterday. They were like, you know what? We're going to tag him. Let's see who else offers him something better. And that's what franchise tagging a player does. As far as T. Higgins, he has been hurt. We saw him in a little different of a role, especially without Jamar Chase in and out of the season, and of course Joe Burrows. I personally wish they would give him another season in Cincinnati to allow Joe Burrow to come back and see what he looks like. But T. Higgins is like one of the hottest commodities on the market right now. So any team that gets him will be very beneficial.
Can I just comment what Sonia was talking about with the Carolina Panthers facilities? It's a coincidence. I was reading a story that just came out on ESPN where there was a player survey rating the best facilities, and the Dolphins and the Vikings rated amongst the top. And word gets around the league to the players. For example, the Arizona Cardinals would be providing like 2 meals a day, while other teams would provide 3. And the team that ranked 31st was actually the Kansas City Chiefs in regard to Snead. So, yeah. Wow. So you never know. So I think it does affect free agents, where they go to weight room, a bunch of things like that. If you hear a little noise, everyone, I'm on the porch here, Florida, nice, letting the air, and I'm not in the freezing weather like all of you. So I have to let a little cool air come in.
The freezing in Atlanta.
The heavy rain and the coldness is creeping up here into the Northeast. So we're getting ready for that right now. So let's get to Pags here. Of course, Sirianni came out and said that he's not going to try and fix Jalen Hurts' attitude or the way he goes about leading the team. He's kind of a quiet leader, but yet you saw the team this year getting a little upset with him when he was on the sidelines, not getting into it, not getting into the game. Pags. I mean, I guess, you can't change the way a guy is. He is what he is. That's the way he leads. So, of course, Sirianni supported his quarterback back.
First off, I want to just let Sonia know, I did put in a bid to name that stadium Philly Sports Guy Stadium. So I'll find out a little bit later this week whether I'm going to get to. Why not? I would love to just call another stadium Philly Sports Guy Stadium.
If you want a stadium full of bars, then that's what it's going to be. We're all going to be sick that you named it that. We don't even hardly play you guys. Y'all keep that up north, Philly Sports Guy.
That being said, I think that there is still some protection of kind of what happened last season. That they're not going to talk about it, and they're trying to figure out all the ways that they could get them to talk about it a little bit. So I feel that that's kind of part of the media just trying to, poke and prod to see if they can get some type of stuff to come out about it. But ultimately, I think that there's definitely got to be something that happens on Jalen's part, really, to make things different. It wasn't like that 2 years ago, but it was like that last year. And like I said, I think that the situation that occurred probably had more to deal with that than anything else. And now that that problem's resolved, so should be the issue.
Yeah, I guess there was a lot of stuff that happened, including coaches and coordinators. And I bet you have a relationship with a coordinator or a coach, and and he's gone and somebody else is in there. I imagine it messes up the apple cart a little bit. Let's welcome in Keith Angle, TGI Sports Talk, being very quiet. How you doing, Keith?
How we doing, guys? I thought I was still. I was walking into the dining room on the Venezia with Jack in his Hawaiian shirt. Thought I was still on vacation.
Yes, yeah, I bet you
You're
wish.
not on the cruise right now, are you? You got back, Keith, didn't you? I mean, you're always on the cruise.
Yeah, they threw me off the ship about halfway through, but I just made my way back home.
Yes, he did. He can wade water when he needs to. So Pags, they're making a big deal out of Caleb Williams not going to the wherever they go to practice
Combine.
this show. Thank you very much. They're making a big deal out of it. Call him a diva and all this stuff. But if you look back in history, there's quite a few quarterbacks, including Andrew Luck and Robert Griffin III and Matt Stafford. They didn't throw at the combine either. They go and they have their pro days. They throw the ball. That way there's no pressure. There's not 100 million people looking at them. I mean, I don't know why people are making a big deal out of it, because it's Caleb Williams, I guess, and he's a first-round draft pick. I guess that's why.
I kind of agree with it. I wouldn't throw no balls. You saw what I did. Yeah, listen, you got me. I'm listed right now as the number 1 pick. Why would I do anything to risk that? You can only go backwards when you're at the top of the hill. So I wouldn't touch a ball. I'm like, listen, I'll talk to whoever you want me to talk to, do whatever, but you've seen what I've done already. That's what I've done for the last few years to get myself to the point where you want to choose me first. If you don't want to choose me first, that's going to be on you. But you've already seen what I did, so why should I bother showing anybody? Same thing with Marvin Harrison Jr. I wouldn't touch a ball. I wouldn't catch a ball. No, nothing. I wouldn't even go.
But if you're Michael Penix, you do want to show up because there's a possibility he might even fall to the third round. So he has a chance to really raise his stock.
I agree. But obviously, when you're the best quarterback and the best wide receiver, why do anything else? I wouldn't do anything, because all you could do is jeopardize it. God forbid he pulls a hamstring or something during the combine, during this fake practice to show pros what they didn't see before. The combine is only meant for people who are lower on the list to possibly move up. But if you're at the top of the list, I wouldn't bother. I
agree with everything you said there, Pags. Tyreek Hill in the news again, not from the field, but it seems he has a camp, and I knew Sonia would know about this. She knows about all this stuff. Tyreek Hill decides that he has a camp. He flies this woman down. Her son wants to go to this camp. He's an offensive tackle. So Tyreek Hill actually asked the mom if she wants to get involved in the drills. The mom says, sure. Well, she kind of shows up Tyreek Hill. She knocks him backwards. Everybody laughs at Tyreek Hill, like Keith is doing. Tyreek Hill gets mad, and he actually charges into this woman's legs and breaks her leg, Pags. So, and of course she's suing, which no doubt she would. I mean, what is some of these guys, and Tyreek, this isn't the first time Tyreek Hill's been in the news on stupid stuff like this. So, I mean, can you imagine being there and watching this? I don't know whether to laugh or get mad about this.
And all I hear in the background is like Brewster's Millions. You know, when John Candy's like $10 million, $10 million, $10 million, $10 million for a broken leg. That's kind of what I think is going to wind up occurring there. Yeah, that was dumb of him.
Doesn't he want to fight Jake Paul or something too? I mean, he can't even beat up this woman on a football field. What's he gonna do?
Well, Jake Paul is boxing Saturday night in Puerto Rico, for what it's worth. Don't ask me who he's fighting, a complete no-name.
Maybe it's Tyreek Hill.
Maybe Tyreek. Maybe he needs to get some aggression out. I don't get it. But anyway, so that thing was pretty interesting to me. A lot of things happening off the court. Sonia wanted to talk about Cam Newton. I don't know if any of you have seen. All of you saw the video or not? I guess you have. Where a 6'5", 250-pound guy is throwing around these young guys, and of course that's a football camp related thing too. I guess the two coaches were either on an opposing team, and Cam Newton was talking stuff to him on the field, and they decided they were going to try and take on Cam Newton, and Cam Newton just threw them around like rag dolls, basically. I don't get it. I don't understand what's going on out there in the world of sports now.
There's a lot of knuckleheads out there that. He didn't lose his hat, though. Great job there.
That's what I was saying. That's the real MVP is that Gandorish hat that he had on. I mean, Cam has a lot of hair. You know, he's been growing a lot of hair. So for that hat to stay on, I don't know. He had Gorilla Glue or something on there. Like
I need Gorilla Glue to keep it on my head. I know that, but I don't know about Cam.
Is Cam Newton a Hall of Fame or not?
No.
I'm asking Sonia. I know. You'll say no. Mac will say no. Pax will say no. I'd like to give it some more thought from my end, but what do you say, Sonia?
From the performance,
Panther fan. You're the only one that's a Panther fan.
Yeah, I'm not even going to speak as a Panther fan. I'm going to look at the stats right now. From his highest performance, where he had a couple of record-breaking seasons, where he does have the NFL's record for most rushing touchdowns among a quarterback. For that stat and for a few other stats, possibly, but it takes a little bit more, unfortunately, for Hall of Fame. And I just don't feel like across the board he has it. There was a time I did feel that way, but realistically speaking, not as a Panthers fan, he is not a Hall of Famer.
Good. I'm at least being realistic there. I mean, if it was to a Hall of Fame for throwing passes too short to receivers, I think he might be in that.
Now, see, I was nice. And
most rushing touchdowns. Most rushing touchdowns of any quarterback in the history of the NFL.
Yep.
I mean, that is.
So he could go in on that stat alone.
Yeah.
I think you need more than that stat. I'm not going to bash him like Mac just did, but that's get to the Hall of Fame.
I wasn't bashing. I was telling the truth. I was saying the truth.
I think it would mean more than just that stat. And let me just plug in real quick about Tyreek Hill, about Cam Newton, about all these athletes. We saw it with Alvin Kamara. When you are an athlete, yes, everyone is human or whatever. You have to carry yourself in a different way because people are going to be drawn to you to get that money bag. They're going to do whatever they have to do, including entice you to fight with them so that they can sue you. When you are in a position in the NFL or any professional sport where you have a capital to protect, you have to make sure that you keep your head level at all times. If you feel like you cannot do that, then you don't need to be in situations that are going to allow you to lose your cool. Or, like Max said, get anger management. You can clearly afford the best of those classes. And that's my
in general, I agree with that. Kamara is kind of a different situation. That was over an elevator, and really, they were trying to bully the guy, and not that Kamara did too much. He had his friends do his dirty work, and he kind of helped out a little bit, but that's a little different situation.
Well, wasn't it Tyreek Hill we saw getting a fight with the female, or was that Kareem Hunt? One of them got in a fight with this lady in the lobby when they were with Kansas City or somewhere.
I'm not sure. I know there was a husband and wife. I think it was the Ravens running back.
That was Ray Rice. That was Ray Rice.
No, not that. This is a random person.
I think it's Kareem. I think Kareem Hunt is right.
Yeah, Kareem Hunt. He got into a fight with a female in the lobby. She did swing on him first. but you're a professional athlete. You're super strong, much more stronger, especially as a male anyway. And if you're working out as a professional athlete, you have to know that you have like more strength, than anything. But Cam,
Wait, Sonia,
Cam is always targeted. Let's be clear. Cam has been targeted at these events he hosts. He's in his home city. These unwayward children were not disciplined, and they attacked him, and he went into MVP super Cam mode.
So, Sonia, if you're a male athlete and you're in an elevator and a female comes on there and starts physically attacking you out of nowhere and you slug her, you're at fault. You have to have the attitude, well, I'm a trained, athlete. I'm strong. I could just hold her.
No,
I'm asking. I'm not saying now. I'm asking.
Yeah. So, I literally said, even in the situation with Kareem Hunt, the lady swung first. But I do feel like people target athletes, even professionals across the board. Like, look at Michael Irvin when he was trying to do the whole Super Bowl thing last year. And this lady accosted him in the lobby, and they kicked him off the NFL Network and everything for a while. Like, he's going around now, doing shows with Skip Bayless, trying to work his way back, and he's finally back in good graces. But they were suing him for all types of stuff. People are money hungry, money driven, and they will target you. They will entice you. And even if you're the most level-headed person, if I go out tomorrow and I'm a millionaire, somebody may try to entice me because they want what you have and they don't want to work for it.
Yeah, that's generally, I agree with all that. I mean, you see even professional boxers getting challenged in a bar or some situation because for some reason they think they could take, Mike Tyson or one of the big heavyweights, and that ends up not being too good for them in the end anyway. So I generally agree with you. But this is how you make your money, by being in public, and being in public comes with certain things. And let's talk about that a little bit. Let's talk a little bit about Bronny James. Bronny James, LeBron James' son. He was on the cover of Sports Illustrated with LeBron James, who, helped put him in the national light. And now he's complaining that people are starting to pick on him. He's going to away games. Fans are calling him overrated, chanting, "Who's your daddy?" All this good stuff. And, LeBron is now, he's kind of maybe coming to his defense where he shouldn't. Bronny James is a young man now, should be able to stand on his own 2 feet, should be able to speak for himself. But I don't hear him talking at all. All I hear is LeBron talking. Keith, I know you don't like LeBron in a way. I think all of us in a certain way don't like LeBron James. He's one of the greatest basketball players ever to play the game, but he's got his problems. And I think his sons being in the same sport or trying to be are living in the shadow is a problem for the Suns right now.
Yeah, I don't dislike LeBron necessarily. I mean, early in his career, I really liked him. I thought he got it. And then somewhere along the line, he lost it. And he's got this entitlement. I mean, what does he show his kids or anybody else when to Bronny's first game, he wants to be there, and he was there, and he walks in during the national anthem, just walks in, strolls in with the rest of his family. I mean, that's all you need to know about the sense of entitlement that LeBron has. Bronny should be able to take this himself. This is not, and I get upset over some of the fan violence. We saw it in a college basketball game just last night, I think. This isn't violence, though. This is normal heckling, and throwing. He's got to be able to take this. If he can't take this, he's never going to make it. He's not going to make it at USC, much less on the next level where everybody thinks a lot of people think he'll end up. Which still remains to be seen. And LeBron's not doing his son any favors by fighting his fights for him.
I agree.
For sure.
I agree. And, I understand that your kid, I get it. But when it comes to certain things, he's not 4 anymore. He's 18, 19, whatever years old he is. And he's got to be able to start standing up on his own. I mean, he had that cardiac problem with his heart. That's something that may concern some teams in the future. And, there's a lot going on with that kid. So
shut him up with your game. Go out and, beat that team that their fans are heckling you, and that will stop it.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. So, Keith, since you took the lead here, let's get to you and some Patriots news and some college news. And Your new head coach, Jared Mayo, says, you know, they're going to change things a little bit, but he's not going to throw Bill Belichick under the bus. He played for him. He was a captain under him. He was a coach under him. He says Bill Belichick had an unbelievable career, which everybody knows. They're just going to do things a little different than he did over there right now. Again, we talked about this before, Keith. He's been there. He's not a coach coming in and he has to get to know the players. He pretty much knows the players. He pretty much knows their capabilities. So it should be a smoother than normal transition to Mayo.
It should be, and he won't, as you said, he won't bash Bill Belichick. He's also partly responsible for him having his job. Bill Belichick also pushed to have this put in his contract 2 years ago, or a year ago, whatever it was. And they are going to do things differently, and I think that's fine. I think Jordan Mayo's going to have some growing pains, like any first-year coach. You know, coming from really a position coach, he wasn't really even a coordinator. At least he didn't have the title. My worry is there's really nobody in the front office yet to kind of stop craziness from happening. I don't know who's making the picks on draft day still.
Keith, you are. You're making the picks, Keith.
I hope I am.
I thought Bill's dog was still kept his office.
No, that's right. Actually, you're right. One of the Belichick sons and the dog stayed with the Patriots. So
there you go. I mean,
and is there any truth to the rumor that Mayo's first call was to Tom Brady begging him to come back?
That's probably not true, but it would have been my call. I can tell you that because and
he's like, Bill's gone. Please come back.
We don't have a quarterback for sure because Mac Jones. One thing we can tell you is Mac Jones won't be that guy, unfortunately. But
go ahead.
There's a dog. I heard him.
So welcome in, CJ, the painkiller de Simone. How you doing, CJ? We're gonna definitely get to you with some hockey and Jets news because we got that, and of course we got two Jets fans on the show tonight. We got CJ and Jack Hurst, so you know they'll be talking a little bit about Jets a little later here. Let's talk a little bit about the Knicks. One more quick thing to Patriots and Jared Mayo's. I'm really happy they elevated Connolly to defensive coordinator. I'm not crazy about the Van Pelt pick for offensive coordinator. I would like to have seen him bring in a more accomplished guy since he's a defensive guy, Mayo is. I would like to see a more accomplished offensive coordinator come in there. I'm a little concerned about Alex Van Pelt. Well, Van Pelt does a great job on ESPN overnight. So who knows? Maybe he'll do something.
That's Scott Van Pelt. I'd rather have him maybe than Alex Van Pelt. I'm not sure.
There you go. So let's talk a little bit of Knicks. I mean, I don't know any team that's been injured has more injuries than the Knicks right now. You saw the penalty. Me and Jack kind of not getting an argument. I agree with what Jack said a little bit about that foul. I thought the kid was going for the ball. It was a loose ball foul. I gave Jack that. It was, but you know, it's not like he did it intentionally. He was hustling for the ball, which is what he's supposed to be doing. The Knicks win the game. But listen, that happens to every team now. Every team is experiencing bad calls or bad non-calls, and you know, kind of evens out during the year anyway, Keith.
They will. I mean, that's a play that you can call that either way. And he gets called either way all night long, every night.
Either way, he practically tackled them. It was a football move. I don't care whether it was an accident or not. Okay,
you knew Jack was not going to be quiet. He didn't even let it get out.
The officials can't consider whether it was accidental or not.
Sure, they
so
can.
much contact on the play. And if Mac's an official and the player says, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it to Mac," Mac wouldn't call a foul. Who cares whether it's intentional or not?
It's one play and amongst the 150 in that game, and I'm just if that's the reason they lost, then I'm sorry, that's a bad reason you lost the game.
That's what I told him, Keith. I said, "Listen,
no more Hawaiian shirt.
Don't put yourself in a position to lose the game on one call." I
say this all the time. Whether it's my team or anybody else's team. So you can't lose that way. And no more Hawaiian shirts for Jack. He gets all worked up for crying out loud.
Hawaii 5-0.
Like Keith, you're sounding like Pags now. You're just being dismissive the way Pags is.
I don't mean to be dismissive. I'm sorry, Jack. I didn't mean that.
All right, so let's continue on and let's talk a little bit of college. Of course, the storming it keeps on. Did everybody hear Chris Canty actually saying that it was kind of the players' responsibility to get off the court. They got to have a plan. They've got to have some kind of action that they got to. Did you see that? I didn't believe that.
I heard several media type guys say you should be able to coordinate this, get everybody off the floor, 45-second pause, then let them storm the court. How's that ever going to work? That's just nonsensical talk. I mean, it's crazy. Keep them up. Number one, don't storm the court at all. Keep a presence there. It doesn't happen in the major leagues. It doesn't happen in any professional sport that I can think of, other than maybe soccer. And here I am,
Kansas Phillies set the bar. Baseball fans used to storm the field. In the 1980 World Series, for the first time, they had these uniformed officers on the horses and made it clear no one was to go out on the field. And when the Phillies won the World Series, they didn't storm the field in 1980. And they haven't done it in baseball since, but they used to tear the field up. It used to be a major, major danger.
They could barely play the World Series in '76 when the Yankees fans tore up Yankee Stadium.
Remember Reggie Jackson in '77? The Yankees get the final out. He's sprinting to the dugout. He body blocks someone.
He looks like a football player
to just get to safety.
Yeah, look at you. Just have to tell guys, kids, you can't do this. I mean, there's got to be security there that can handle these types of things. And the kids that storm the court, you got all kinds of video. Keep them out of the freaking games. That's all.
I don't know if you can, to be honest with you. I don't know if you can stop 8,000 fans from storming the court. I don't care if you have 100 policemen.
Don't let those 8,000 in again.
That's not easy to do either. I mean, you're going to have to identify every one of those 8,000 fans.
I get it.
That sounds so curmudgeon. That does sound so curmudgeon, Keith. I mean, realistically, I mean,
I'm an old man. Get off my
like you're like, hurry up, get off the court.
From Brooklyn, yeah.
The truth of the matter is that they really should, they should make sure that there's security there. The security should be protecting the opposing team. That's what their job is. The moment that occurs, that there should be one security person per player at the very least, and get them there so that if anybody does come in, because that's where I can imagine, like if you were the guy coming over, like, and you just won the game and you're just going and like, if anybody they just won and then somebody's coming up and sticking like a middle finger in my face, I'm going to be a little angry about it. You know what I mean? But if they got a security guy right there, just that pushes everybody out of the way, hey, you want to go have some fun? Go have some fun. And I got you. We're gonna get you back to safety. End of story. You know what I mean? It's like when, it's the fact that they're not paying attention is what's happening.
They need like 20 big doms to enforce this. On the basketball court. That's guys that have an attitude. That's what they need on these things. Really, though, this has been happening for a long time. People have been paralyzed. People have been thrown out of their wheelchairs. I mean, if you go back and look at the history of this, it's been happening for a long time. And the NCAA, which has no teeth anymore, hasn't been able to stop it. And with no teeth anymore, what the hell are they going to do? Seriously?
Because they don't want to stop it. They don't want to stop it.
No.
You know why? Because any publicity that the NCAA is going to get is good publicity. And especially with something like this, they're going to find a way to spin it. The NCAA PR department is going to go and put out a poo-poo. Oh, we are so sorry for all the people that got hurt. And we are going to speak to whoever it is to make sure that they clean up operations for the next time so that this incident doesn't happen in the future. And then what happens? A week later, 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later, the same thing happens. And then we're going to hear the same thing from the NCAA. Look, they're going to storm the field, the court, whatever, if they feel like it. Okay? They're going to do it, no matter how much security you put out there. So the way I look at it is like this. If they're going to storm the court, then you got to get the players off the field first. That's it.
But how can you do that, CJ? If you look at the basketball game, the guy that got hurt was in the play. He passed the ball, whatever he did. and the ball went in hoop, and they stormed the court. He had no chance to get off the
Correct.
court. He was out in the middle of the court, and they already stormed it. It wasn't like they waited for the play to be over. As soon as the ball hits the hoop, they're all out there.
I don't think happened to Caitlin Clark a couple of weeks or a month ago.
Agree. So I think there's no way to do. The only way to do that is you start having that team forfeit the games. That would be a shame for that team, and then all of a sudden maybe the fans would stop doing that. I agree with you, Pax. I don't think they can do that. And that would be the only way I could think of, or maybe finding the university. I don't think that will work either. I mean, I there has to be something you could do, but I just don't know what it is. I have no idea.
They just find a group of kids from some school that had injured someone right before this Duke Wake Forest incident. They just find somebody like $12,000. So
Why are they storming the court anyway? They were a favorite in the game. They were favored to win the game. What are they doing storming the court, for crying out loud? It's not like some huge upset.
Yes, I agree.
It's that Carolina thing. Wake Forest, Duke, they all kind of run.
It's a rivalry thing that's going on there.
Crackers.
But I've been amiss. I want to thank everybody for commenting, and I'm putting up as fast as I can. Everyone joining us, loves, likes, and all that good stuff. Sonia's in trouble because something happened where she wasn't telling CJ something, and the Guy Fisher wanted to point that out. So I hope.
I don't know what he's talking about. CJ was on my show last night. I heard him call me Country Sonia. I guess he said he was trying to say hello, and I didn't let him. That's probably because he came on at the end of the show, and we couldn't get to the comment.
Right.
So
and don't ever call her Country Sonia. She's the one to hear
Thank you.
Anyway, Keith, let's push on. The NCAAs we were just talking about has no authority over the NIL. Rick Lorenzo looks down eventually at the NIL and the portal and find out when will this money ever stop coming in and failing. I don't think it ever will. I think this is what it is. And if the NCAA has no authority to stop the NIL or to control it, who does?
Nobody. There's not going to be. When again, the only rule basically was you couldn't use it to recruit players. That was being that rule was being broken right and left everywhere until Tennessee was being investigated for doing just that. They filed this motion with the court, and that's what led to all this because teams were cheating and using the money to recruit players, which was the only thing you couldn't do for it. It was meant to be used for name, image, and likeness, which means advertising, going on video. That's what it started over, was a video game, for crying out loud, with Ed O'Bannon 30 years ago. And I'm just so worked up here. I'm a cranky old man tonight. I'm sorry, but there's amateurism is gone. Any last vestige of amateurism in big time college sports is history.
Big time.
This may get reversed, but teams weren't following the rule anyway, so it really doesn't matter. The NCAA has no teeth in anything at all. CJ kind of talked about it with the court storming. It doesn't matter what we're talking about. They have no teeth. They don't do anything anymore. So
let me give you this, Keith. Say this is my idea. The head of the conferences, the athletic directors, and the coaches have got to. The only way this gets controlled is they all get together and they lay down some rules. Now, I don't know if they're all going to do that or not. I would think it would help everybody in the long run. But these are the only people that in power that could do something. Will they do that? I think they should.
Well, again, if the law says you can do it, what can they do to bypass it other than not spend the money? And everybody's going to spend the money.
That's what I mean. I mean, they would have to agree. So
I don't think you'd ever get them to do it.
Sort of like NFL owners do once in a while when they don't want somebody playing or when they want to control the payroll. That would have to be something that they would have to do that.
Why are all you making this so complicated? You just contact law enforcement, the heads of the university. They contact the mayor. They contact the governor. Let law enforcement handle it, not the NCAA or the school security. The school could contribute with their security, obviously, but contact top-ranking, officials.
The politicians screwed this thing up in the first place, for crying out loud. I don't want to get them deeper involved. It's an awful look for college. College sports will never be the same, but we'll call them college sports because that's what they are. But between this and again, it also, it isn't just the money. They also now have an unlimited ability to transfer every single year. They're basically free agents every year.
Yes.
Professional leagues have rules about free agency and player movement. The NCAA will have none. That's just
the
ridiculous.
worst thing they could have done was the transfer portal.
Absolutely the worst thing. The combination of these two things will be the ruination eventually of college sports in general.
Ruination. I like that word. The ruination. That's a new.
I learned that.
My grandmother used to say that.
I learned that at the Amari bar on
I don't comment when I don't understand what someone's saying.
Yeah. Oh, that's great.
My favorite Ukrainian bartender taught me that word.
Jack, let's get to Jack. We haven't let Jack take lead a little bit here, and let's talk a little bit about the Yankees. Offensively, they look terrific. I mean, they got a lot of power hitters down the line. Just added Soto in there, and they got this young kid. I think his name is Spencer Jones, another young kid.
Well, I don't know if he's going to make
let me ask the question first. He hit a home run. I mean, so they got a lot of power, but let's get to their starting pitching. Do they have enough starting pitching to go to the World Series?
Yeah, I mean, Cole, Cortez, Rondon, Marcus Stroman, Clark Schmidt. That's a pretty good rotation if they stay healthy. I'm more concerned about the bullpen. To run it back with Clay Holmes as the closer, I don't feel comfortable, with them doing that. They're going to do bullpen by committee. It did work last year, actually, even though they had a subpar year. DJ LeMayo might get a lot of time at third base. I don't know, am I crazy about that? And, we'll see, how it works out. Certainly their lineup is potent. If Anthony Rizzo could come back and be his old self, there's not evidence he can't. He had the beaning last year and was out a while. And is Austin Wells going to develop behind the plate? And obviously, all eyes are going to be on Juan Soto. Is this just a 1 year experiment for the Yankees? Is he going to be gone next year? Is he going to be back? If he's going to be back, and you could go with him and Aaron Judge in the future going forward, that's going to be an awesome 1-2 punch. But and Judge is no youngster. What is he, Keith? 31? Now it's so.
Yeah, he'll be 32, I think, before the year's over.
Right, but is Juan Soto going to be back? That's gonna be hanging over the Yankees' head all season long. His agent is Scott Boras. I wouldn't have made the deal for him strictly based on that, knowing he had only 1 year left on his contract. But we'll see. But that's going to be the news throughout the year, Juan Soto.
No, the police are after somebody.
I'm going to get you, Jack.
That they're after my Yankee
Yeah,
card.
they heard. You see, I have them
mine.
here. They're like coming. They heard what I said. You hear?
Yes, they did.
I heard Joey Gallo's about to go back to the Yankees, though.
That's Max sent the police to my house. He read my mind and went to my Yankee card.
I did.
Joey Gallo was signed by the Washington Nationals. That's like the bottom of the barrel.
Jack knows his baseball now. So now, for the most part, Jack, I agree with you. If the Yankees starting pitching staff stays healthy, and that's the question, they haven't been able to do it, and I don't know how long. But if they do stay healthy, the Yankees are a legitimate contender. We shall see.
Well, Carlos Rondon is Keith Engel's boy.
Oh, Jesus.
Yes. That's a private inside thing. You'd have to go way back in the tapes to understand that, and we're not going to do that right now. Jack, let's talk your favorite subject, the Combine. Before anybody else said anything about the Combine, as far as it's not worth anything, use the films. Jack Hirsch was all over this. And, now, not only are some teams not going to the Combine, you have some players, of course, they're not going. They're going to do the pro days. And some of these players are not going to take those conjugal tests where it asks you all these important questions to become an NFL player. Yeah, well, I was hoping to slide that by. So, Jack, everybody's turning against the Combine now. Look what you started.
It's a family
show.
Yeah,
the head coaches aren't going. Yeah, a lot of them aren't going there now. I mean, Mike McCarthy just said he's not going to be there. Robert Saleh's not going to be there. Matt LaFleur's not going to be there, and others as well. It's just all for show. It's like, you know what I compare to? You're looking to sign a boxer, And all you're doing is seeing him hit the heavy bag. He looks good with combinations and then he jumps some rope. He does some crunches and like you're really impressed. Then he shadow boxes. And then you say, "Oh, we got to sign this guy."
Yeah,
and that's basically what it is. It's good for the later rounds, you know, 5th, 6th, 7th round, where you know you can take a chance on a guy, and if it doesn't work out, I mean, CJ could tell you. I mean, with Zach Wilson, went number 2 overall, based in large part on what he showed in the combines. Okay, if it wasn't for the combines, the Jets were not likely to take him that high.
You know, and a way to segue into CJ, Zach Wilson news, they are actually, believe it or not, giving him permission to talk to other teams about a trade. Now, I have no idea why the Jets are doing this. I mean, he played so well last year, great backup. What do you think? I mean, would you let this fine quarterback leave, CJ?
Yeah, damn straight I would. Not only that, I'd go to his house and pack his bags and drive him to wherever the hell he needs to go. Zach Wilson was the worst quarterback by the New York Jets in the last decade. Come on now. And the funny thing is that it wasn't even Joe Douglas's pick. This was Woody Johnson's pick. And I have this on good authority.
Yeah.
Woody Johnson needs to shut his mouth, go back to making baby bottles and baby oil, and leave the football decisions to football people. Let Douglas do his job.
Way to poke the bear, Mac.
All right, so
I'm part of the lawsuit. I'm part of the lawsuit with the baby powder.
Why is he using that Bill Belichick's line there? That's what I want.
So CJ is not upset about Zach Wilson leaving at all.
No,
it looks like
not at all.
Not at all. You had a former wide receiver who caught the winning touchdown for the Kansas City Chiefs come out and kind of talk about the Jets and how they don't know. Thank you. They don't know how to play winning football there. He said, "I was at the Kansas City Chiefs. I went to 3 Super Bowls, national championships. I know what it takes to have a winning football team where everybody is treated the same, where the Jets are kind of picking and choosing who their favorites are." He even said that Patrick Mahomes, if they're not wearing yellow sneakers at practice and Patrick Mahomes comes out in yellow sneakers, guess what? Patrick Mahomes goes and changes out of his yellow sneakers, so he's like everybody else. In other words, the team plays as a team, practices as a team. The Jets don't do that, CJ.
Well, why did he sign a contract then?
I don't know.
So he got traded, didn't he? He got traded.
Hardman was a free agent, said that he came to the Jets as a free agent.
He left one.
He had no issue signing the contract to be a New York Jet when he was a free agent. But now all of a sudden, because Nathaniel Hackett could not find a way or find some sort of offensive package to put him in, and he got traded back to Kansas City for basically a bag of balls and a slightly used jockstrap. Okay, now all of a sudden, because he's the hero of the Super Bowl, he wants to go and he wants to flap his gums.
Yes.
You know what? You left one important part out too. He's bashing the Jets, but then he admits he checked out and pretty much quit on them.
Right. So then you give yourself zero credibility when you come out and say, "Well, when I was a New York Jet, I checked out." Because you know what? Maybe if you didn't check out, maybe if you didn't open your mouth, maybe if you did open your mouth and say, "Play me, put me in, I'll play special teams. I'll be a halfback. I'll be an outback. I'll do whatever. Just get me on the field and let me contribute," then maybe they would have tried harder to put him out there. So that's the difference between being a team guy and being a me guy.
But isn't it the coach's responsibility to make him a team guy? I mean, Andy Reid has a lot of different.
It is. Let me stop you there, Matt. It is to an extent. It is the coach's responsibility to get your players ready to play football. It is the player's responsibility to get themselves mentally ready to play. It is not 100% on the coaches because the coach cannot dress the player. The coach cannot put the helmet on, the shoulder pads, and everything else. The player has to go out and perform. There are only so much that we can blame the coaching staff for motivation And eventually the player has to pick up the slack. And if the player is going to mentally check out or physically check out, guess what? That's not on the coaches. That's on the player. That's effort. That's execution.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you for the most part, but to motivate players, to have players listen, to get team captains. I don't know who the team captains, are in the Jets locker room. To get them motivated. I mean, your team captain can't be on the sideline with an injury. That really doesn't work. You got to have somebody on the field that's a captain there that can, that shows them how you're supposed to act and what you're supposed to do and how hard you're supposed to
What
play.
they needed is C.J. Mosley to kick his ass. That's what they needed to do.
Yeah.
They needed to do.
You can't build character where there's no character at all.
That's true.
And the Jets did what they could. McCall Hardman, he didn't want to return punts. He was difficult, so they moved on from him, basically.
Yeah.
His
I agree.
primary responsibility why he was signed was because of the fact that he could play. He could play special teams. He could return punts. He was very elusive. He's very fast. He came to the New York Jets and all of a sudden decided he didn't want to play special teams. Well, then what do we have him here for? You didn't have a problem signing the contract.
Hey, well, at least bad culture's a culture.
All right. I go.
Good point.
I'm sick.
There you go.
Dude,
There you
you have no idea how I say, and I know Max watched my show, Sonia's watched my show, I'm sure Jack has watched my show. If you have to burn Florham Park down to the ground and then put a bomb in the ground and blow it up to exercise whatever ghost or demon or curse or whatever the hell is in that ground over there, do it. So that way, when you rebuild it, the Jets can actually be a competent, functional, relevant organization instead of a joke. The Jets have been a joke for the last 15 years and probably even longer than that. And the problem is they keep going to the same well to find the same problems. And you know what? The same doofuses that they bring in, they don't realize that they cause problems. We're the last one. Guess what? Bill Parcells is not walking down the tunnel to save the New York Jets again. Neither is Mike Tannenbaum. Neither is Terry Bradwell.
Yes.
I miss all those.
Yes,
Super
I don't think
Bowls.
they're going to. I don't think they're. I don't think they're going to blow up the stadium, CJ. But
Jack,
maybe
come
they'll
on,
bring
talk to me over here.
If they blow up
No,
the stadium,
I mean, I think
number one.
if they're well invested in Aaron Rodgers for at least one more season to run it back. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. We don't know how much Aaron Rodgers has left, but he's the quarterback. They draft number 10 overall. They're going to go offense. If Joe Alt is available, an offensive lineman, yeah, maybe that. Maybe one of the receivers like a Malik Neighbors, if he's available. And they obviously have to address the offensive line big time, get a couple of other pieces. They need another running back, to team up with Breece Hall. I mean, they need, there's needs there, but the defense is really, really good. I mean, that's the thing still. I don't agree with you, CJ, in this regard. I don't think the Jets are looked at as a joke. I mean, they're not looked at, no offense, Sonia, like the Carolina Panthers.
I was thinking about that. Thank you.
And they're going to think they're pathetic. I don't think people quite look at the Jets that way because, the Jets tend to get off to a halfway decent start and fall apart the second half of the season under Robert Salah. So they kind of tease us with some hope, but they got to run it back basically with what they have. I mean, because there's a cap, so you can't just go out and get whoever you want.
Yeah, they don't have a choice. Really.
But here's where I agree and disagree with you. And this was my biggest problem with Joe Douglas last year for last season. When Aaron Rodgers went down, there was no plan B. Their plan B was signed 5 weeks into the season and put on the practice squad in Trevor Siemian. If Trevor Siemian is your plan B, you may as well hand in your resignation letter and just forfeit the rest of the season because you could have had Carson Wentz. You could have made a deal for Gardner Minshew. You could have made a deal for Josh Dobbs. You could have made a deal for Jacoby Brissett.
They're not answers.
All they
TJ,
would have done,
Josh
you sat there and hit the
awful.
ball.
He's not good.
It's
He's
not
not going to help.
Video guys.
Carson Wentz was shot mentally. He was
right.
useless the other places he was at. I mean, next
Well,
you're going to say they should trade for Marcus Mariota with the Eagles.
Well, I know I was going to get this because I have two Jet fans on, but let's kind of turn away from
Now,
the Jets.
CJ knows his stuff. I respect his opinion, but I disagree with a Joshua Dobbs type. He's not the answer to come in
No,
as a
he's
backup.
not the answer, but I mean, he still would have been better than Trevor Simeon or
Listen,
even Tim
Hey,
Boyle.
listen, Trevor Simeon, somebody's, has somebody's dad. So take it easy on Trevor Simeon. There, CJ. Let's talk a little bit about hockey. I got two hockey knowledgeable guys on here too. Listen, the outside events were big hits. I don't know if they're going to plan on doing any more or not. I think they should do something like that, maybe once a week or once a month somewhere. I mean, it got a lot of views and people enjoyed watching the hockey and the outdoor events. I know the playoffs are coming up. New York's in. At least the Rangers are. The Flyers are in. I think they're the last spot there. So there's a little bit of a rivalry stuff going on. I saw a big fight. I don't know if this has anything to do anything. At the New Jersey Devils stadium. Of course, that happens all the time. But a nice fight between the Rangers and the Flyers, right? I mean, everybody backed away. They let them go at it. Big rookie against another big stocky guy.
Yep.
Kind of added excitement to it. What do you think about all the things I said? Bring them down one at a time. Outside stadiums, CJ. You think they should do more of that?
I think that the amount of outside games that they have already for the season is perfect. And the reason being is because it gives the fans something to look forward to. When you do it more, when you start adding more and more and more, it becomes watered down. And I think the NHL is actually learning from the mistakes that the NFL made with having games overseas, having games on Thursday night. Let's have another game on Tuesday night. Let's have another game on Friday afternoon. The NHL is trying to make itself an exclusive product. And for the fact that they sprinkle in the outside games, like you have the Winter Classic, you have the Stadium Series, and not everybody gets it. It's all in a draw. It's all picked. And I think that itself is an exciting facet because as a fan base, you look at it and you say, oh man, I hope my team gets an outside game this year. And I think it's great if they rotate it around the league. Again, just for the amount of outside games that they have, I think the amount is perfect. Pags, what do you think?
I can't stand them, actually. I mean, you can't really see the game. It's good for, it's like you got 70,000 people there, dressing up for a football game to watch hockey. And I tell you, you can't, you got to sit up higher so you could even see what's going on. They put some fanfare to it. I personally don't care for them, but I understand why they do it. It's freaking cold in February to sit on an outdoor stadium. You know what I mean? It's not. There's a reason why they don't play football. Yeah, it's not. But that's fine. I mean, I get it.
Listen, watching that outside takes me back to when I was a kid, and I used to play street hockey. I see now.
That's if they made the rink as big as the football field, or even Olympic size, not just an NHL size, then I would be more interested in that.
Yeah,
then I could see it.
I would definitely like to see them increase the rink to maybe the same size as the IIHF. I think that would be a tremendous amount of challenge because one of the differences between international hockey and the NHL, not only is the ice surface bigger, but there's also a lot more concentration on finesse, on passing, and your skill set needs to be on point.
Right.
So I hate to cut you guys off. I wanted to talk about the fighting, but we'll talk about that maybe next week. We got to get off here.
That was the best fight by far in years. They did it right. They talked about it right. They told the referees it was happening, and the referees stayed out of it. And I tell you, it was the best fight I've seen in years.
There you go.
Love Matt Rugby. He's awesome.
There you go. So there you go. A fight that, they used to try to ban this stuff. Now maybe they start welcoming it back into hockey, which I thought was exciting. Folks, thanks for participating. Thanks to the panel. Thanks to everybody watching. We have a lot of shows coming up. Stay with our Roku channel. You'll have at least 4 or 5 more shows coming up. All sports, all day. Have a great one, folks.